Hello, everyone. Last episode, I just barely saw more of this biome, so let's go explore it. And just look at that view. Had to pick up some villagers along the way. Already, I'm liking the look of this more. Yeah, I really like how this area looks. There's so much to explore, too. And it gives me lots of room to expand for all the mods. Had to set up a little iron farm in the meantime while I spend who knows how long building. But from this point forward, just about everything's going to be sped up. I started out by just laying out the foundation, nothing too crazy. You can see originally where I had the stairs here. My first thought process was to have everything elevated a couple blocks, but in the end it didn't really work out too. I started messing around with mystical agriculture since I've never actually used it in a mod pack before. And when I looked up how to craft mud blocks, this was the only way to. In the end, it didn't really work out how I wanted, so I ended up just making all of my mud blocks manually, which took a lot longer. I started working on a little balcony area, which is where I wanted the altar to end up going, but I ended up placing it too high, and I didn't realize for a while, so it's kind of just here for now and ends up getting removed and replaced a good amount of times before I really like how it turned out. I started working on making the dirt and water seeds I would need to mass produce mud, but I didn't actually read anything in the quest book on how to do this, so it took me a little while to figure out I needed redstone to power it. I started going through and claiming all the quests. It turns out there's quite a few of them. Also, this whole time I pretty much ran out of wheat seeds, so I had to start growing my own. You would think with my double chest full of different modded seeds, at least some of them would be normal. Went to plant the seeds. Turns out bone meal does not work. Um, but, I put torches there, so, that's definitely the fix. Yeah. It's good thing I only wasted about a full stack of bones trying it before just looking up if it worked. Oh, this guy was scary. Since I couldn't use mystical agriculture to kind of mass produce mud easily with bone meal, the only other option was to just make it manually. And, I think this is sped up about 900%, and even still it feels way too long. This was not fun to do. At least the vein miner made it a little bit easier. Once I had all the mud I needed, it was time to start laying out the first part of the walls. Um, I really like the bottom block design. I think it's pretty cool. You can see me just like walking around and kind of staring at things. A lot of the parts I cut out in this are just me kind of walking around and looking. At this point, I realized the balcony was too high and mystical agriculture didn't really even work how I wanted it to, so I'll probably come back to that at a later date. But for now, I had to demolish everything, and while I was here, I might as well do the entire floor. Nothing too crazy, just had to get rid of it at some point. Started laying out the outline for the floor, and I very quickly ran out of logs. So it's time to go grab more, and this will not be the last time. I think I do this 2 or 3 more times at this point. I accidentally stripped everything. Yeah, it did not turn out. I thought about it, but no. Just had to replace everything again. Around this point, I realized the corner near the door doesn't, well, line up with anything. So I tried extending it out, which did help a little bit, but it's still pretty awkward. Um, Especially if you actually look at it and not just kind of glance past it. But it's the only way to really fix the gap, and it doesn't look too unnatural on the inside. It's just kind of there. I did manage to find a use for all the stripped logs I got earlier from messing up. So I used them for the floor here, and I do actually like how it turned out. Just by alternating the direction, kind of gives it a nice little pattern. During moments like these, you can really tell how much I just place what I think will look good, and then don't like it, tear it down, try again, and just kind of rinse and repeat. Tried using the witch hazel wood. I didn't end up liking the color, so I just went with the blue enchanted that I was already using, but just the plank version, and it turned out fine. I ended up moving the stairs over to here, and the end definitely looks a lot better and just kind of works out more, because I couldn't really fit the turn now that I moved a little wall section in, so it's the only compromise. Who could have guessed? Ran out of wood again, so another farming trip. I ended up extending this platform out a little. I didn't have too much room to work with, so this kind of helped let me walk around freely. Later on, I'll definitely need to go back and extend it all the way down. I was looking around for windows to use, and I found these mosaic glass panels. So I started using them. I think they fit really well, so that was nice. I finally realized how good the mahogany would fit in, so I started using a mix of both the mahogany and the blue enchanted all around, and it definitely helped add some colors to the build. I really wish the vanilla shelves from the newer updates were in this, because those would really help just overall with building. I think once I'm done with all the mods 10, I'm definitely going to look for something with more up-to-date mod pack. I also found some cool looking lanterns, so I ended up using those just about everywhere. started messing around with the doors a little here. Ultimately, I went with the mahogany, but either or would have worked fine. Started working on the roof for the first floor. Definitely needed something over my head. I also changed the front door to be 2 doors instead of 1, since it looked pretty awkward from the front. But I definitely think that was a nice little fix. Once I finished the roof for the first floor, I can start actually working on the interior, and that's where the build really starts to make a turning point and really looks polished. From this point forward, the audio cut out, so I had to add a little bit of music myself. I know why it didn't work, so from this point forward, I will have this fixed for future uploads, but you know, it's just how it is. This part coming up with this lantern in the middle there, this took me a while to actually figure out how to make it look good. But yeah, it was not fun. Started adding trapdoors to the bottom of everything. It's pretty much the only thing I can do in this version to add a little bit more depth to everything. I had to fix the floor upstairs from how much I messed it up below. I ended up extending this balcony a little bit and renaming my Cooler Rock waypoint. At this point, it's time to throw buttons and signs everywhere, which is basically everything I can do. I started working on a little front patio area here. This took about half an hour of trial and error of placing things down, breaking it, staring at it, replacing things, staring at it, and just kind of rinsing and repeating over and over. While placing the signs everywhere, I kind of realized how awkward this little corner is, so I did the same kind of thing near the front, but I don't go back to that until a little bit to finish it out. Next up on the list were the windows. I wanted each of them to have the little stone garden, since the grass can grow on the stone. I think that's pretty neat. So I just started off by placing the planters and just kind of letting the grass spread. I ended up putting little fences on both sides and just a little overhang. It's pretty simple, but it works. Once I actually figured out how I wanted the windows to turn out, pretty much just rinse and repeated all throughout the base. I finished the second little patio area. I didn't actually have enough mud blocks to fully fill this in, so I'm just gonna put something on top of the little corner there. It was really starting to come along at this point. I extended the balcony out a little. Looking back, at this point, I probably could have just slapped a roof on this and called it a day, but I'm gonna need the space eventually, so I think it's better off to have the second floor. Let me know for future videos if you guys want me to just like cut stuff like this out entirely, or just keep it sped up like this. I know a lot of it's pretty boring, but yeah, it's gotta be here at some point. But I'm probably gonna lead towards just cutting it all out, because it's just the same thing over and over. I wasn't done redoing the roof. At this point, still had to replace everything, stare at it, break it, replace it, stare at it, till something nice came out. I ended up putting the iron farm back. Man, look at this. So nice. This point, it's pretty much just the same old placing signs and buttons just about everywhere. There's definitely other ways I can make these walls look less flat, but for now it's the easiest way. Next up was making windows for the second floor. This is the first thing I went with, which doesn't look too bad, but I definitely think how I change it later on looks better. You can also see me eating some bread here. I'm at 9 pieces. When I started this, I had almost a full stack, so it kind of shows how long this took me. At this point, I actually realized how I want the windows to look, so I had to go through the entire house again and replace all of them to just kind of look better. It's time to finish the roof of the second floor balcony here. Is it really required? But I end up liking how the corners kind of curve in with stairs and slabs and trapdoors, so I don't mind it. And the view's pretty nice as well. Looking back, this is pretty embarrassing. This is actually my first death, but it didn't really slow me down at all, so I wasn't too worried. Here comes the fun part, which is the roof. I cut out pretty much all of this. It was not fun to do, and I think I ended up spending around a full hour on this, just to end up kind of chopping everything up later on. It's kind of too tall. I don't know. I don't really like it too much. I can always replace it later, but whatever. I think if I do end up replacing it, I'll probably do something more just flat. For now, I just won't look up and try to avoid it as much as I can. All right. Now that the build is done, do a little tour. Really like this inside. You know, the kind of depth in the roof helps. These little pots are cute. Added some storage here, just kind of dumped everything out of my backpacks. Finally got them cleared out. Pretty nice view. I want to replace this jungle with the red trees I saw earlier. That are like, I don't even think I'd be able to find them, but they're about 20,000 meters that way. Move this over here. Sprinting. Pretty nice. I might end up placing more of these, because imagine every mod pack is going to need a bunch of iron. Then this little view's nice. Front little patio area. Little balcony. Put something here. And then this is pretty much the iron golem's loud. Pretty much untouched. I like this portion a lot. Looks really nice. And just walk around. More windows. This looks a little flat, but maybe add some like bushes here. Windows. And the stained glass really kind of blends in since it's kind of a purplish blue color. And back here, fix that up. And yeah, I don't know what I'm doing for that roof. I have no idea. Yeah, I think next up I kind of want to expand into this rock here, make a little enchanting room. I think first step's definitely going to be storage. I have just nowhere to put anything. We go back to the old base. All of these are just random garbage thrown around. And I have the supply camp I want to place because it might give me some good building materials. And I take match every time I use this. I think this is a little too close, but whatever. Thank you guys for watching. This is the final build and some shading. Definitely looks a lot better this way. The ground is still a little awkward, but I can fix that whenever. Stay tuned for the next episode. I'm probably going to do storage. It's the easy and kind of the most needed thing right now.